Hey everyone, it's Michelle again, and I'll be discussing my progress from Assessment 1 into Assessment 2 and clarifying about the things I have learned throughout this process. Just a very short recap, my project delves into the problem statement revolving around helping find a solution for users that find it difficult to check in and navigate hospital spaces while trying to maintain proper social distancing. As such, from what I have found through research and analysis, is that the user requirements are they need less contact but more guidance, accessibility for those that have extra needs such as language barriers, and efficiency within the space. Reflecting upon my design concept, I hypothesize that users will become more confident and efficient during check-in processes. As well as this, users will become more navigationally independent within the space and thus will reduce any forms of need to interact with others. As such, users will be able to achieve better COVID safe check ins and social distancing. To further highlight my proposed hypothesis, I have established three main interaction assumptions that I assume will occur during the testing of my latest prototype. Firstly, I believe that users will follow a linear journey from start to finish of my check in system. It would highlight the key points of allowing the user to sign in and learn how to access the space and review COVID safe protocols. Further to this, I assume that the users would appreciate the ability to use the key function of having an array of options to use when checking into the hospital. As such, this should cater to the likes of wider users, thus enhancing user efficiency on the system. And lastly, users will be able to finish checking in within under 2 minutes, thus beating the current animosity of not knowing how long a queue may be. Here I have produced a conceptual map of my smart system. The map delves into the key components that make the system work as a whole and shows the links between each feature. Following the check-in route, it will include the ability to review patient appointment details, and in order to review this after checking in, the system requires a QR or reference number. And then to further clarify, these will require a camera or a scanner and a keyboard function. And leading back to the map function, which allows users to independently navigate the space, the system will include visuals and a printed map of directions, and that in turn will require a printer. As such, this leads us to the COVID guidelines of the system, where it will highlight points of how to adhere to social distancing, wearing masks, and hand sanitization within the space. And as such, this will require instructions and diagrams. And lastly, to cater with accessibility, the system will include language translations for those with language barriers. Now I'll be highlighting my wireframes and the process in which users will follow when using the system. Here's an overview of the system mapping, and with this, it highlights that I'll be developing an app that can be shown on tablets and kiosks to allow users to check in independently. Key dimensions and notes of the characteristics can be reviewed within the appendix. Anyways, as highlighted before, users will be taken through a linear journey of being able to select a language, check in through with either QR code or a reference number, review appointment details with assistant navigation, and review COVID protocol. As such, I will now demonstrate how a user will use my check-in system. So firstly, users will select the language they wish to use, then check and confirm. Then they'd select the QR code option and allow the device to scan their code. A confirmation page will appear to ensure it is about to show the right user the right details, and then users will be given the option to review and print the directions to their appointment. And then they would have to follow the process of reviewing COVID protocols, ensuring that they know the rules within the space. And lastly, to quickly review the alternative route, users can opt to sign in with a reference number and can use a keyboard to sign in instead. As such, I have had the opportunity to review how well my system has worked with three users. My first tester was a 23-year-old male who states to be quite proficient using technology but does not know the hospital space well. During testing, they finished in 57 seconds with zero errors, and key highlights from his test were that they were generally happy throughout the process and they understood how to use the system at a glance. A key quote that they said was, "The process was super easy and totally beats waiting in line." However, points they highlighted that could be improved included that they disliked the color and said that it was not much, but it was still a lot to take in. To emphasize on this, they said that the font was too big on some pages and the green color could be altered. As well as this, they highlighted the pain point that appointment details may appear to be wrong, so what can the system offer to fix this? Next, I tested with a 41-year-old woman who every so often visits the hospital but does not feel confident with technology and dislikes approaching others. Again, highlighting key points of the results, she finished in 1 minute and 5 seconds with one user error. Although I noted that she had to read the instructions quite slowly, she stated that she appreciated the language accessibility and can't wait for the final product. To further note, she stated that she thought the mapping screen was very good, but thought that it was too much to remember. From this, I thought that she would opt to print the map, but she did not. However, post user testing, she stated that she simply did not see and understand the printer icon, but she would have definitely used it if she had known. And lastly, I tested with a 65-year-old male who is similar to the previous user but has high anxiety and overthinks. As such, I recorded his time to be 2 minutes and 1 second. He started the process with hesitation but was brightened when he saw that there was a language selection page. This showed to ease his stress a little. However, on the following page, he felt overwhelmed and thought that he needed to search for his QR code and reference number before remembering that he needed to only just check his email or messages. Post user testing, he stated that he would have found it more efficient to simply add a Medicare option, as he finds that he always carries one on his person, and other testers agreed to this as well. And similar to the previous tester, he simply did not see the printer icon as well as understand it. To conclude on how I'll be moving on to the next portion of my assessment, I have highlighted the key points that I need to consider and cover when developing the final product. I will need to enhance user accessibility in consideration to the results that have showed that users did not understand certain icons and wished for more languages. As well as this, I need to consider how I'll be incorporating a service or call help button to give further support for those that need it. And finally, I need to add other forms of alternatives during the check-in process to thus allow all users the opportunity to sign in with ease and comfortability. As such, it can be highlighted that all these factors need to help reduce social interaction within COVID filled spaces and help with better and more efficient check in.